As I carry the scars of struggle, tears, as my crease bears the mark of cruelty, as I travel the journey of thorns and fire, as they mark the tender skin of a warrior, and I ask, because I'm a young woman, does that mean I must be not recognized for my hard work? Because I'm a young woman, does that mean I must be vulnerable for men to use and discard me just like that? Because I'm a young woman, does that mean I don't have the right to proper care and proper service? As boys and uncles and brothers turn their eyes to young women wearing miniskirts and shorts, and I ask myself, which place is safe for me if I can't be safe in my own world?
We, the representatives of young women from Accra, Hyderabad, Cape Town and Johannesburg, civil society organisations, trade unions and UN agencies, are gathered here in Johannesburg to understand and deliberate on the issue of the rights of young women living in urban communities, to economic justice and control over their bodies, and the interlinkages between these issues. We recognise that young women constitute a significant portion of the population of urban poor across the globe. We recognise the precarious situations of young urban women living in poverty in informal settlements, without access to quality public services, including healthcare services and information for young women's health and well-being, water and sanitation, suitable housing and services for survivors of violence. We also recognise the lack of economic opportunities, along with the challenges young women face in negotiating in their households for a more equitable share of unpaid care work, and the impact lack of access to water, childcare, electricity and transportation has on that burden of care. In urban areas, young women's fears and experiences of violence and violations are pervasive, and their needs around safety, security and access to justice are ignored. Young women's voices are not addressed, respected and listened to when it comes to decisions around the design and delivery of services in urban areas and infrastructure in our cities. Their issues and demands are largely unaddressed.
I think it's important for us, the young women, to have opportunities in leadership positions. We should also have access to decent work. We should also be helped in terms of unpaid care work, because if we don't get these help, one, our economic rights will be limited. Two, we can't get access to paid work, and three, our health, we won't be able to get access to health services, because if we are not working, then we don't earn a living to support ourselves and to go to the hospitals to get information about our health.
We are hoping that this research manages to throw light on the fact that young women don't live their lives in isolation, that issues of SRHR, issues of access to decent work and employment opportunities, the burden of unpaid care work, these are various realities of the lives of young women, and that they all intersect with each other. We are trying to highlight how they are all linked with each other and how they have an impact, so that policymakers and even the civil society organizations, we understand these linkages better, and it helps us to bring to the table cross-movement linkages. We are able to build solidarity across movements, so that we are able to understand how and why we need to address these issues in their connection to each other. And we are certainly calling on governments to acknowledge and explore and keep those interlinkages in mind while they do their they develop their policies and allocate budgets, so that it empowers young women in a very holistic manner, and that their rights in all aspects of their lives are actually respected and promoted.
The Young Urban Women Project has taught me a lot. It has taught me about leadership qualities and leadership skills, on how to handle myself and how to work with other young women with different backgrounds and different lives. And I've also learned about sexual and reproductive health rights, which means understanding my body, how my body works, how I can say when I want to have sex and when I don't want to have sex, what I see as pleasure and not see as pleasure. And it also taught me about not always listening to what my community says or what has been said by the cultures or all those things that they now define the me that I'm not, but to only define myself as who I am. So the project is giving us tools as young urban women in urban areas to be able to stand up, and not only stand up as ourselves, but to also gather other young women and make change in our community.